What's up everybody, this is Memory Code. In this video I'm going to show you how to add a little bit of variation to your hi-hat patterns. Let's get into it. So the main concept behind this technique is getting a programmed hi-hat to sound and feel a little bit more like a real drummer, and I'm going to show you how I do that in Ableton. I'm sure you can do it in other DAWs, but I've only ever done it in Ableton. So yeah, just getting right into it. I have my hi-hat channel right here, and you can see I have a drum rack loaded up, and I have a few hi-hat sounds in here, but for this video I'm just going to be talking about the main hi-hat sound, which is this one. And to be able to do this, you need to be using the sampler instrument. In case you don't know how to load a sampler into a drum rack, just go to your instruments and then just grab a sampler and just drag it right in. And once you have that, you can just drag any sound that you want right into it. So that's what I have going on right here. And just by default, every time a sample is triggered in the sampler, it will start in the same spot, just depending on where you have the sample start set. But you can modulate the sample start, and that just basically means to modify or alter where the sample starts. And when you do that, it imitates just the natural subtle variations that happen when a drummer plays a hi-hat with the drumstick. They don't really ever hit in the same exact place on the hi-hat, and they don't really ever hit at the same exact volume, and that's kind of what makes it just feel so natural and just sound so interesting. You can do that really quickly in the sampler, and when you do that and the sample starts in a slightly different place, it will just sound slightly different. The volume will be different and the note length will be a little bit different. You can get close to this with MIDI effects that randomize velocity and note length, but changing where it actually starts too takes it one step further. You can do it really quickly in this modulation tab, and over here you have 3 LFOs. LFO 1, you can only route to these 4 parameters down here, but LFO 2, if you turn that on, you also have these A and B alternate destinations. So if you hit this drop down, you get this list, and at the top is sample offset. So just select that. Sample offset is just another term for the sample start. And that's pretty much all you need to do. There's just a few other adjustments that I like to make. The first is the rate. Just make sure that's set over here to free, as opposed to the MIDI sync. If it's on free, then the LFO can cycle at its own rate, just no matter what the tempo of your track is. And that just helps you get a little bit more of a natural result. And so every time a MIDI note is triggered, you'll catch it in a different place in the LFO cycle, and it will start in a slightly different place within the waveform. The next thing is the frequency. I usually max that out at 30 Hertz. That just means that the waveform is cycling through as fast as possible, and that just also helps make sure that every time a note is triggered, you'll catch it in a slightly different place in that waveform. And the next thing is re-trigger. Make sure that is off. If that's set to on, then every time a note is triggered, the LFO will just restart at the beginning, and then the sample will start at the same point every time. So if that's off, then this will be cycling freely, and anytime a note is triggered, it'll catch somewhere different in that LFO cycle, and that'll just make it start in a different place within this waveform. And the last thing is the amount, which is this box right here, and you can go anywhere from 100 to -100, and if that's set to 0, then it won't do anything. If it's set all the way to 100, you'll get some notes that trigger all the way out here at the end, and you won't really be able to hear them. And actually, that could actually be dope for some situations, but for this I want it to be a little bit more subtle, so I'll just set the amount at about 24 or 25. And that will make sure the sound will only really re-trigger in the first part of it. So it'll be like more of a subtle variation. The sound will change a little bit, the volume will change a little bit, but it won't be too extreme. And that's really all you need to do. So here's what that sounds like. And just so you can see, I'll just turn this amount all the way up to 100. And you'll see we'll get some notes out here that you won't really be able to hear. So yeah, I'll just put that back to 24. And so that's pretty much it. Here's what it sounds like in a full beat with everything else playing. Alright, so that's it for the video. I hope it was helpful. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. If you want any more information about funk and soul drum breaks, hip-hop drumming, and drum theory, check out my book, The Breakbeat Bible. I got a link in the description for that, and it's available in physical and digital copies. I also have a few other videos that I did about drum programming, so check out the description for links for those. I'm available for one-on-one music production and beat making lessons. So check out the description for a link if you want to hit me up for something like that. And I also put together some visuals for the instrumental from this video. So check out the description for a link for that. Alright, thanks a lot for checking this out. Peace and much love.
Memory code. Memory code. Memory code.